Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Coach Chran's Corner. I'm Chris Anderson, co-captain of the team Cardhoarder, and I'm here with Clay Spickelmeyer. How's it going, Clay?
Pretty good.
Awesome. All right, so today we're going to be playing a deck that I've been working on for the last week or so, and did okay with it at the Invitational, but I've been doing a lot better with it on Magic Online in my testing, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this deck performs in the future. It's Lingering Jund. So at its core, this is just a normal Jund deck. It's going to be using the most efficient removal in the format: Lightning Bolt, Terminate, Abrupt Decay, Maelstrom Pulse. Great discard in Inquisition of Kozilek. I think Inquisition is probably the best interactive spell in Modern. You got Thoughtseize as well. Then the most efficient creatures that you can get. Tarmogoyf, Scavenging Ooze. This time we're actually using Grimflayer instead of Dark Confidant. So Dark Confidant is really great. It's in a matchup that's all about making trades and getting the board down to parity. Dark Confidant's an excellent way to run away with the game because you're getting an extra card every turn. But Grimflayer is a little bit different in that its card advantage engine isn't quite as good, but it beats down much harder than Dark Confidant does. It ends the game quickly, which is really good for a deck like Jund, because the thing that Jund is the most weak to is the top of your opponent's deck. You can't Thoughtseize the top of your opponent's deck. Grimflayer makes it so that they get fewer draw steps. You end the game quicker once you get it down to the state that you want than you can normally with Dark Confidant. It's also just better against the aggro decks that are trying to kill you as fast as they can, getting your life total down to 0 really fast. You don't have a Dark Confidant actively killing you. So you get to keep your creature around. You don't have to like suicide it or something. Yeah, Grimflayer's been doing really well so far. One of the cool things about adding Grimflayer to the deck instead of Dark Confidant is that it enables Lingering Souls a lot better, because you can just mill over the Lingering Souls and cast it for the flashback, gaining virtual card advantage. Lingering Souls is also great with the Liliana discard, so you get the flashback on that as well. And in a deck, in all the matchups that are other fair decks, your Lingering Soul, or you're expecting to make trades throughout the entire game. You trade your removal for their threats, they trade their removal for your threats. You get the board down to nothing, and usually you try to win the game with a Raging Ravine or something, or just like one-up them on card advantage. There's nothing better in the entire format that'll allow you to leverage a card advantage grindy game than Lingering Souls. It puts 4 different bodies onto the table with evasion. It can be a quick clock, even with just one of them. 4 damage a turn is a good amount, and they're so resilient. Every single removal spell that they have, like just look how Lightning Bolt matches up with Lingering Souls. So that's basically like every removal spell in the format for the most part. So Lingering Souls is great. If we go ahead and move to the sideboard, let's look at what we've got for sideboard options. Okay, so let's see. Start things off. We got 3 Graveyard Hate spells. Grafdigger's Cage has definitely been the most popular Graveyard Hate spell as of late, because it's also good against Court of Calling decks. But I like Nihil Spellbomb in this deck too, because it's an artifact that you sacrifice, which is good with the Grimflayers. It gets an artifact into your graveyard really quickly. Cantrips, which is great. Having a card like Nihil Spellbomb can be good against like Snapcaster Mage decks because it replaces itself, so you're gaining value in a grindy matchup. And also just the combination of Nihil Spellbomb and Cage, I think, is better than Double Cage. Double Cage doesn't. It has decelerating returns. They're diminishing returns rather. The second Cage doesn't really do anything other than exist if they kill the first Cage off. Whereas if you have a Nihil Spellbomb and a Cage, their game plan for Dredge is basically like get Grave Trolls into play, and Nihil Spellbomb cuts that off completely. Other than that, it's mostly standard stuff. Kitchen Finks is good against Burn, good against other mid-range decks. It's a sticky threat. Fulminator Mage is great against anything with manlands like Infect, Affinity, Blue-White Control. It's also good against Chran, Escape decks. It's been fantastic. Anger of the Gods is a good sweeper. Having access to a couple sweepers is pretty useful. For our second sweeper, we're using Night of Soul's Betrayal, which is a little bit different than a normal sweeper, and it may not be correct anymore because we've got so many Lingering Souls, but I've always been a really big fan of that card because of how good it is against Affinity and Infect. Let's see, Painful Truths is a +2. Draw 3 cards, really strong against any other mid-range deck. More Lingering Souls, same way, really good against other mid-range decks. Disfigure and Collective Brutality are both just like efficient removal spells. Collective Brutality and specifically, I'm interested to see how good that card is. I think it could be really strong, and I think it might be the best card in the deck against burn. So just because it allows you to kind of cast a bunch of spells at once, because you're discarding extra cards to get extra effects. So you're basically getting rid of the resources in your hand and converting them into stuff that you can do to trade with a deck like Burn as fast as you can. And then finally, we've got the Liliana the Last Hope. And I've been really impressed with Liliana the Last Hope over the last few events. She kind of functions like Kolaghan's Command. She buys back creatures. She also kills stuff. Yeah, I think it's been, overall, I think it's worth the sideboard slot. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and play this in a league and hopefully do pretty well and learn about the deck.